Hello, welcome back to my channel. I wasn't going to make this video like I wasn't going to make the last video, but I got some responses and some of them were very interesting, so I thought I'd respond. Um, some of the responses, of course, as I mentioned, were just ad hominems, I'm stupid, I have no idea what physics is, the normal stuff. Um, Most of them, in fact, were that on the last video, on the previous video. The very last video, some of the comments were actually very interesting, very good. Um, One of them is something that I've spoken to before, Be a Skeptic 1161, which, he has a very thought, thoughtful definition response, although I'm not quite on the same page, and that's something that we could probably maybe talk about uh, offline somewhere or something else. But I noticed at the end, you challenged me or you accused me, like I would give you the opportunity to discuss atheist actual positions rather than something you made up. I didn't make any of it up. I actually went back. Of course, I mentioned the guy O'Connor, who does say that the definition of atheism is the lack of belief, which is the general one. This is a new one on me. I'm not an atheist, and I never claimed to be, so I don't know how long this definition has been around. But the other one, uh, it's from a site called a Rational. Oh God, no, I can't remember. Rational something, and it's a pretty big site. He's a pretty avowed atheist, and apparently there's a guy named Graham Oppie who seems to be the um, most recognized defender of atheism. I don't know if that's accurate, but he's a big atheist, and he said atheists are people who believe there are no gods, God or gods. That's what he said. That was his quote. I saw the video. That's exactly what he said. And so it's interesting. I mean, I know that there's some people that get really offended by other people who question their beliefs. Like there are religious people that get offended if you don't like their brand of whatever belief there is, whatever it's Christianity or Islam or there are different sects of Islam. People didn't know that Sunni, Shia, plus a bunch of others. Christianity, I think that at one point there were 23,000 different denominations. Um, Buddhism, there are different sects of Buddhism. Everyone thought that the Dalai Lama was like their pope, and no, he's just the reincarnation of so many Dalai Lamas before him, and only a certain group, I believe, of Tibetan Buddhists believe in him. And so it doesn't surprise me that there's diversity among atheists as well. And guys, your argument is not with me. Uh, your arguments, if there is, if you don't like um, some of the points that I made up that I brought up. Um, Go research atheists and atheist websites and atheist YouTube channels, and you'll see all the different atheists that claim their own beliefs and their own positions and the way that they define atheism. In fact, there was a very good one here. Um, this guy that is on here, let's see here. Um, like I said, Be a Skeptic 1161, very thoughtful. I mean, this is very interesting, very good. Some of these points that you make, I'm gonna have to go back and think about. Um, Although I think that and I think you didn't appreciate that some people, some atheists, you seem to believe that people are atheists because they think it makes them look smart. No, I don't. I think some atheists think that it makes them seem smart. And I don't even know if it's like I wouldn't even say it's a majority or 10%. I have no idea. But I run across some atheists who can't argue atheism, and they like throwing out numbers and they throw up non sequiturs, and they really don't know. But I believe that they think that being an atheist means that you're backed by science. They do. In fact, they do. They bring that up, and so it makes them sound smart. But there's another person here that gave me a very long um, response. Theo Skepto My 3. By the way, I love the Theo in front. Theo Skepto. That's awesome. Hello, I'm an atheist. I define atheism as suspending any acknowledgement as to the reality of any particular God until sufficient credible evidence is presented. Here's something that's really that's awesome. I kind of feel the same way from my perspective, right? I am very comfortable with the way I've reasoned it. I say this to people. I say this to my children. I like pursuing the truth. I'll pursue the truth wherever it takes me, and sometimes it takes me someplace where I don't want to go. But I would rather. A professor of mine told me I would rather know the truth than know I'm right. I'd rather know the truth. Um, and he gives me a very long um, um, list of reasons. They're numbered. It's very good. And here's why I currently hold such a position. Below 11 facts I must consider when evaluating the claim made by certain theists that a particular God exists in reality. To be clear, they are not premises of any argument which concludes there to be no gods. They're simply facts I must take into account. That's exactly the position that I take with what I my um, what's the word I'm looking for? That's the way that I approach it as well. Um, Number one, I have never presented with a functional definition of a God. Two, I personally have never observed a God. And I know kind of like where this is, and I know that this is among a lot of atheists. Um, this is something a challenge that you would put on us, right? I have never encountered any person who has claimed to have observed a God. That's right. I have no accounts of persons claiming to have observed a God that are willing to be or able to demonstrate or verify their observation for authenticity, accuracy, or validity. Um, of the many logical syllogisms I have examined arguing for the reality of gods, I found all to contain formal or informal logical fallacy or premise that cannot be demonstrated to be true. And I'm skipping some of these. I'm trying to get the ones that are like really fast. I've never known experienced the presence of God through intercession of angels, divine revelation, miraculous act of divinity, or any occurrence of supernatural event. And then at the end, let me leave number 11. All claims of supernatural divine nature that have been presented here have either been refuted to my satisfaction or do not present as falsifiable. Something that's actually do I believe in the supernatural? I do, and I believe it um, from a kind of a different. I'm not going to explain it here, but I've come to the a belief that there is supernatural, and it has to go back to the origin of the universe and the existence before that. However, um, you know, I'm very skeptical when I hear of possessions or ghosts somewhere. There's a really interesting show on, I believe it's on Paramount, called Evil, where they're investigating um, supernatural events, and there's a skeptic among them, and he always figures out something logical um, that proves that it's not something supernatural. Right? Because either sometimes like I don't know, it was something in the sink. There was a noise. Sometimes it was actually outright um, a scam. Somebody put something behind a wall with a projector. Then there was also something about um, noise being made by the plumbing, but it sounded a different way in the way it was running. I mean, and I've heard something before about a building that they thought was haunted, and they would be like moaning. Turns out that the building next to them, when they flushed the toilet, the pipes would make noise as it's going down, and that not in the building next door. So but there are a lot of things like that I have never experienced myself. Um, Anything supernatural. But I do believe in that there is something that to it, and it's based on something else. And anyway, that's very interesting. But the last his conclusion or his last paragraph, last two paragraphs. All of these facts lead me to the only rational conclusion that concurs with the realities I have been presented, and that is the fact that there is no good reason for me to acknowledge the reality of any particular God. I have heard often that atheism is the denial of Abrahamic God, but the denial is the active rejection of substantiated fact once credible evidence has been presented. Atheism is simply withholding such acknowledgement when sufficient credible evidence is introduced. It is natural, rational, and prudent to be skeptical of unsubstantiated claims, especially extraordinary ones. Something I think that's you make a very intelligent, rational position for where you are, and it's incredible that I approach it very similarly, and I've come to a different conclusion. Somebody else wrote something on here that I thought was interesting, which is that some religious people, particularly Christians, believe that atheism is simply a rejection of the Abrahamic God. Abrahamic God. I guess that may be true. That some Christians just think of it that way. There was also somebody brought up that the early Romans um, considered that the Christians were atheists because they didn't accept the Roman gods. I think I've heard something of that about that before, um, and it was their perspective. They didn't. You rejected our gods, and so you're an atheist. Um, anyway, there was something, and this is going to make a lot of you guys mad, but there's also something that I read once, and a professor. His name is Paul. See if I can find to make sure that I get the name right. Paul Fitz, and he's a psychologist. Let me see, Paul Fitz, and he went back and investigated. Um, he investigated atheists through history. Is this his name, Paul Fitz? Anyway, um, he came to the conclusion, or he found a common thread among very prominent atheists. And I thought this was interesting. I think, from my experiences, this has generally been true. I know that some of you are going to come back and say this was an experience. I don't doubt it. I just think that it was interesting. But he said that going back through history and seeing prominent atheists, the what he found that one of the common threads was that they all had issues with their dads. Either their father was absent, or he was defective somehow. He was not a father that they respected, and in rejecting their father, they also rejected a a supreme being. You know, um, I know that a lot of you are not going to like it. I think it's interesting, and I think that for the most part, it's accurate. Um, and it's not accurate in 100% of the cases, but I think that's another thing that he found was that it doesn't follow through the same way with women. Women who had issues with their fathers. Um, they're the ones that kind of like go into Wicca and Mother Goddess, that kind of thing. Anyway, this has already gone longer than I thought, and um, I appreciate your comments. Like I said, the previous video, I got a lot of really nasty ones. This last one, I got a lot of not a lot, but I got some that were very good, very thoughtful. And I really appreciate that. You know, like I said, it's fascinating to me because I would like to approach this also rationally, and I've given my position, and some people just totally crapped over it. And I mean that's fine, but that is something. And of course, I've made another video about the challenges with Christianity, which are great. They're huge challenges with Christianity. Um, and I'll just say this really quickly. To be a Christian, you have to believe that Christ, Jesus, was God incarnate, and he died for our sins and then was resurrected. And that is a big pill to swallow. I made another video that on my position on that. But anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate the comments as well. I hope that I was respectful. You know, I am. Um, I think that there are challenges with both theism and atheism. And I like the one that I read, that guy like really follows through and he explains, his positions, and they're very well thought out, and they make a very good argument. I mean, I guess this is one of the ones that I would say, there are excellent cases, excellent um, reasons, excellent arguments for atheism, and this person, Theo, um, made his case, and I think it was very good. It was very strong, um, and it doesn't convince me, and I'm still debating this through. I still keep going. There are things that I think, and I've put them up here. In fact, maybe I'll make one, and I'll put my position again, and watch a lot of people, complain about it. And I think that some of your fellow atheists, um, some of them, um, just don't like being challenged, or they just really enjoy challenging others on faith. All the comments about the invisible best friend and the invisible man in the sky. Um, those are probably the ones that I would say. Um, those are the ones that probably like saying they're atheists because they think it makes them sound smart. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and give me a like, a thumbs up, and may put comments down below. And I'll talk to you guys next.